people are still critical of RFK. It's mind-blowing. It's the dumbest. People who are doing that are propagandized, and they don't realize they're propagandized. There's a lot of great stuff about RFK. There's also a lot of horrible stuff. I will join with anybody to do good and nobody to do bad. You're shitting on the one guy in my whole lifetime that Big Pharma is actually afraid of. I just want to let everybody know that the reason why healthcare is horrible and nobody trusts the government anymore is because we allow the people who are they're supposed to regulate an industry. They go right into work for that industry. So this guy used to be the head of the FDA, went right to work for Johnson & Johnson.
You know, it's a really good company that is well known for not being a scum.
Scott Gottlieb, we see all the time on MSNBC and CNN, and he was the FDA head of the FDA, and he went right into working for Pfizer. He's currently a board member, board of directors of Pfizer. So they're
hardcore Satanist.
FDI. What?
If you work at that, just to me indicates a hardcore Satanist.
Yeah. So here's another guy. This guy was a former FDA commissioner in charge of regulating Moderna, and guess where he looks? He currently is working for Moderna. Wow. Here's another guy. Oh, you can't see it, but this guy used to be the head of Reuters. This guy on the left is the CEO of Reuters, in charge of informing people about the COVID-19 vaccines. On the right is the current member of the board of directors of Pfizer.
What's the problem, Jimmy? He probably has good insights to help Pfizer with.
So the biggest problem isn't the conflict of interest, but the biggest problem, I think, is the conflict of disinterest that the average TV news watcher has in the fact that everyone in control of their health is compromised. And
I only care about the Bad Bunny halftime show.
Yeah.
I don't even pay attention.
That's right.
This was acceptable to talk about 20 years ago. I was just watching Sicko. Have you seen Sicko?
Yes.
Yeah, this was happening then, and that was like mainstream to talk about that and call it out and criticize it.
And now now because of COVID and Donald Trump, the Democrats don't criticize Big Pharma anymore. They call
Michael Moore won't do it.
They tell that Michael Moore won't even do it.
Michael Moore who did the movie Sicko. Ain't gonna do it.
He won't do it. Correct. So why do I bring this up? It's because the last guy who was in charge of the vaccine department at the FDA. So RFK got rid of him, and he's working for Eli Lilly now. The FDA's drug reviewers keep leaving to work for Big Pharma, and it's a big problem. Guess when this was written? This was written in 2016. Right before Trump won the presidency, September 2016. So even Vox used to talk about this. So and who's the new guy? So it's this guy, Peter Marks. So do you remember when they had the booster program, quote unquote booster? It's not a booster. And the two heads of the vaccine department at the FDA quit because they didn't approve of the booster program. But guess who wanted it? Joe Biden's administration, the White House wanted it, so they forced them out. So they had to leave, and then they replaced it with this puke. This guy who's going to do.
Boy.
And I said, well, they're just going to replace him with the yes man, and that's exactly what they did. So this guy's one of the biggest corrupt pieces of it. He's a liar. He doesn't care about your health. That's why he was in charge of the vaccine department at the FDA, because if he cared about your health, he would have resigned, just like the two previous people in front of him. So as this is Aaron Siri, a guy who's made a living suing Big Pharma over their lies and criminality. He says, as day follows night, Peter Marks, former vaccine boss at FDA, just got hired by Eli Lilly. He was a good boy, served pharma's interests well. Now comes his reward.
Look at his Fauci glasses.
Marks will oversee molecular discovery and infectious diseases at Lilly starting this month. Peter's expertise strengthens our abilities across multiple areas, both in our existing portfolio and our work in emerging areas, the company said. Is one of those emerging areas cancer, turbo cancers? Is that why Big Pharma is selling us a vaccine and then buying up cancer companies that are developing cancer drugs? Is there a connection there? Do they think that the vaccine is causing cancer and then they can capitalize on this by selling us cancer medication? Because that's what it sounds like to some people, not me, of course not. Marks, who played a key role in the U.S. presidential Donald Trump's first term in developing the COVID-19 vaccines, resigned in March after being forced out by RFK. Shares of U.S. drug makers fell when reports on Mark's ouster from the FDA first came out. Isn't that weird? That the stock prices of Big Pharma fell when that guy left the FDA? Why would that be? Oh, because he was doing the bidding of the drug makers and Big Pharma. That's why. As director, and nobody cares about this. Nobody cares about this. Is the thing that I can't.
Bad Bunny. That's all I care about.
All they care about is Bad Bunny. A director of the FDA Center for Biological Evaluation and Research, Marks had publicly supported programs that expedited the development of rare disease treatments and gene therapies through his tenure. Oh, really? I bet he did. We believe that Dr. Marks can bring significant value to Lilly, given his. Yeah, he already did. He already brought you. He already brought you all the hundreds of billions of dollars you made through those vaccines.
Yeah.
He already
Imagine what
did
he'll
that.
do in his new job.
Mark's move follows similar transitions by other FDA officials, such as, I showed you all them. Former U.S. FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb's also a member of the Pfizer. I showed you all that. So here's this from the New York Times. This is from September of 2021. Top FDA official moved on Monday to take over the agency's vaccines office. That's after the people who were against the booster program, who were in charge of the FDA vaccine department, resigned over the boosters. He took over the vaccine office when the two leaders of that vaccine office had publicly questioned whether the general population needed COVID booster shots. Can't believe they call them boosters. Dr. Mark said, if the more shots you get, the more likely you are to get COVID and more likely you are to get sick from COVID.
Well, that's a boost.
That's not a boost. That's a deboost.
Boosted up my chances of getting sick.
Yeah, it's boosted your chances of getting sick. Dr. Mark said in an email to staff that the move, which makes him acting director of the office, would allow the two, Marion Gruber, the director of the vaccines office, and Dr. Philip Cross, her deputy, to take care of closeout activities prior to departing to help assure a smooth. So he got rid of the people who had integrity, and they put in a puke like Peter Marks.
Just like every job in America. Like every job.
Just like every job. How many people have been to Epstein Island? That's my question. Anyway.
That's none of your business, Jimmy.
Dr. Gruber recently announced plans to retire at the end of October, and Dr. Krauss both have evaluated vaccines for decades, and the agency's Office of Vaccine Research and Review, and were said to have been upset at the Biden administration's announcement last month that booster shots would be available to most adults. So they left. And so what did they... Jesse Goodman, a former chief scientist at the FDA, said that Dr. Mark's decision to take over the vaccine office at the FDA was extremely unusual and concerning. Yeah, because it's all corrupt, that they're a criminal cartel. Big Pharma is a criminal cartel, and the FDA, the CDC, the NIH, the NIAID, they're all criminal cartels. And now there's a guy in there named RFK who's actually doing something about it. And still, people, Democrats and lefties, have nothing but disdain for him. There's finally somebody who Big Pharma is afraid of, and fucking morons still criticize him and take cheap shots at him.
What else would you do?
What else are you going to do? Because you didn't stand up for COVID, for workers or anybody. He said that the FDA needed to offer a clear explanation or else it could erode trust in the agency. Erode trust.
Oh, these people are a joke. I mean, every single time I hear this, I was like, you people are the biggest joke who ever lived.
Erode trust.
I'm worried, Jimmy.
These are the two people who know the most about vaccines at the FDA, and they should be doing everything they can to keep them involved. So they're talking about the two people who resigned over the boosters. Those two people who resigned over the boosters wrote in The Lancet that there was no credible evidence to support booster shots for the general population, and that more data and public discussion was needed. And then those two regulators were taken aside and punched in the eye. And now they recommend vaccines for everyone, everything in the house, including your plants, should get a vaccine. Their position was shared by many independent scientists who had said that coronavirus vaccines continue to be powerfully protective against the variants. As director of the FDA Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, Dr. Marks, a hematologist and oncologist, had supervised the vaccine office's reviews for the entirety of the pandemic. He is credited as the architect of the Trump administration's vaccine program, Operation Warp Speed, that developed and funded coronavirus vaccines. Wow.
Well, except Pfizer's. Remember, Pfizer didn't want the oversight, so they turned down free money. That's how much money they made off it on their own, being just purely corrupt with zero oversight.
It's hilarious that they are afraid it might erode trust in the FDA. That's like trying to get Harvey. That's like trying to get Harvey Weinstein a date now. You're gonna love him. He has all these great Hollywood stories. So that is what RFK is getting rid of. That's still happening, and people are still critical of RFK. It's mind-blowing. It's the dumbest. People who are doing that are propagandized, and they don't realize they're propagandized. There's a lot of great stuff about RFK. There's also a lot of horrible stuff. I will join with anybody to do good and nobody to do bad. You're shitting on the one guy in my whole lifetime that Big Pharma is actually afraid of, and you're propping up this shit. You're literally propping up the status quo when you tear down RFK Jr.
They all loved him.
How fucking stupid and self-destructive could you be? People with kids, and they're giving them the bullshit vaccines left and right, are still critical of RFK. Hey, why don't you go see a movie called An Inconvenient Study? And if you're still critical of RFK after that, then you're just a fucking moron.
I mean, they are morons. And also, they're trained to be submissive to power, and they're trained to suck up the power. And in the head of someone that went along with this, that's the advantage they're giving their kids. Training them to always trust the power structure. That's how you get the best outcome in life.
Check it. Okay? Just check in with the man on the TV once a week. See what the man on the TV says.
They're not going to trust their own. Like, they're not going to look into it and do research. Most of them can't fucking read. So what they're going to do is, where do I want to land? I've heard this quote from an idiot before. Where do you want to land? You want to be with the cool people or the not good lunch table? And whatever your perception is, that's where you go. And that's what most of LA is. Certainly every fucking Democrat I know, anybody who's still a Democrat at this point, or claiming a party, like, the only people I see losing faith are MAGA people. Those are the only people I see losing faith in the thing.
That's right.
As you should.
When did that start, though? Because Democrats did used to question this stuff, like when Sicko came out.
When did it end?
I feel like it started with
Obama is when it ended.
I feel like it started with Trump, because Trump positioned himself as like an anti-establishment person. So then every Democrat seemed to be like, oh, we have to trust every aspect
that's exactly right.
of establishment.
It's Trump. And they were smart enough to marry vaccine hesitancy around COVID to Trump. Somehow, even though Trump wasn't vaccinated, he wanted everybody to get the vaccine, still wants credit for Operation Warp Speed, but they were able to make you think that if you oppose the COVID vaccine, you were a Trumper and you were supporting Trump. It was a magic trick. They pulled it off. And
you just need an idiotic, smug, fucking just ignorant population of people who are living okay, even though everybody else ain't living okay, and you can pull it off.
And if you want to hear my jokes about this, I'll see you in Irvine, California, Australia, Burbank, California, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, and January 11th, we're going to be in Waikiki at the Blue Note. It's a beautiful place. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. October 19th, we'll be in Irvine, California. We'll be in Australia. Then we'll be in Burbank, California, the day after Thanksgiving, and then Pottstown, Pennsylvania, December 6th. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.